Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network, and it's a new week. The weeks seem to just fly by so quickly. It's remarkable. Anyway, today's topic is courage, but before we get started, let's take a minute or so to settle in. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose. Fill your lungs with that oxygen and that life force and just allow it to flow through your body. And as you exhale, release any tension in your neck and your jaw, your shoulders and your back, your hips, your knees, your ankles, your feet. And let's take another deep breath in. Hold it and just imagine light energy coursing through your body, through your cells, and out beyond you to just sparkle into the world and feel that incredible vitality and exhale any remaining tension. And then let's gently place our palms together and softly rub your fingers against your palms to feel the tingling. Feel that tingling in your fingers, feel the tingling in your palms, and allow yourself to be present to this remarkable body that you're in, that's the vehicle of your experience of life. And I want to say welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. And let's talk about courage. What's courage? Courage is not running headlong into a situation without fear necessarily. You may have fear, and it takes courage to face situations where you have fear, and what enables us to do that is a degree of trust and faith that is bigger than our fear. And I think that these times are calling for our courage, our moral courage, and our courage to stand up and be seen, our courage to bring ourselves forth and share in the world and participate and be active. And um, and and I think it's really important to understand that courage doesn't necessarily mean fearlessness. If we were fearless, then we could act according to our principles and our morals and our inspiration without any hesitation. And good morning, Dido. Welcome. We're talking about courage today. So, I courage is an interesting subject because it does bring us into areas of trust and faith, or conversation about trust and faith. And whether it's trust of ourselves, trust in our conviction, trust in a higher power, or faith that we're doing the right thing, it's a courageous act to have a conversation where you're allowing yourself to be truly vulnerable. It's a courageous act to express your truth in the context of not knowing someone else's response. It's a courageous act to open your heart to consider new perspectives that may challenge your sense of who you are. It's a courageous act to be willing to expand beyond the familiar and to explore the unknown. So, all of these things are ways that courage can manifest itself. And in this moment in time, we're witnessing so many acts of courage and and acts of cowardice, hiding in the shadows, um, not showing up in the world, is the antithesis of courage. And in this moment, I believe we're all called to be our highest and best selves. And in order to step into that calling in the world, it does take an act of courage. It takes an act of courage to own your dreams, actually, to own a sense of mission and purpose takes tremendous courage. We talk about having the courage of your convictions, and that's an important aspect of courage as well. However, in having the courage of our convictions, we get to also evidence the courage to entertain other perspectives and to be willing to presence ourselves to justice and to our responsibility. It takes courage to take responsibility. So this sense of courage is maybe the willingness to expand to expand beyond our perceived limitations, to expand beyond our limited scope of ideas and behaviors even. So trying something new takes a certain amount of courage and faith. And so they're all degrees of courage. And today, to be willing to stand up for what you believe in, and on a deep level, it takes courage to look at our prejudices and our biases. And this is a time when so many of us are really engaging courageously with these kinds of self-inquiries. And it's so important. It's so important to be able to take the initiative to dig deeply into what is in our patterned behavior and our previously invisible responses to things, and to look at those things courageously and be willing to face the shame potentially, or the disappointment, or the heartache, or the anger, or the disenchantment, the disappointment. It takes courage to be willing to face all of these aspects of self and society, and then it takes courage to stand and speak and walk into and toward the betterment of ourselves and our culture and our future. So one of the things that I talk about a lot is finding your purpose. And I truly believe that each of us is here with a unique purpose, a unique role, a unique expression, with very specialized set of gifts that we brought with us. And finding our purpose is really a path to enrichment and fulfillment and full expression. And I can say that although there's a very rosy picture to paint about finding your purpose, because it bestows a sense of life and vitality and incredible richness and resilience, it does take courage, because most often when you are first confronted by that purpose, when you first come to a recognition of a dream that's calling to you, typically that dream is going to feel so outrageous and so beyond your grasp and so beyond your capability that it takes a tremendous act of courage and faith to receive it and step into it and take ownership of it and claim it, and it will require you to rise. It is not necessarily an easy path, because your purpose and your mission will stretch you to beyond who you've imagined yourself capable of being. And that takes tremendous courage to keep putting one foot in front of another in the face of the unknown or something that is calling you to your greatness. So that's an area of courage. And then, there are people who are truly deeply suffering in life, and extreme with extreme depression or extreme sorrow or grief. Good morning, Natalie Brown. Thank you so much for being here. We're talking about courage. And I was just talking about people who have extreme challenges in life, whether they be material or emotional or spiritual, and the courage to put one foot in front of the other, stepping into a day or a moment that seems to be a continuation of the hardship or the sadness or the feelings of futility, and having the courage to move through that, to keep going in the face of that, to keep searching for the path out of that, as we go through it, to keep continuing in the face of despair. It takes tremendous courage and strength of spirit to be willing to make that passage through the darkness to another side, to a place where there's light. And this is something I can speak of from experience. I can truly say that there is light beyond the darkness. At least there was for me, and I had a very difficult passage through many, many years of deep depression and sorrow and resignation and just darkness. And I can say that my continuous quest to find the light past that has yielded fruit, has brought me to a place of greater peace and comfort and joy and possibility. And so my sense is I know that it can be done, and like I say, it takes courage to continue in the face of that despair. And I believe that we all have that courage within us, that we all have the capability to source that courage, to muster that courage, whether it be in taking on your life's passion, your life's purpose. And I can say also that that was a big thing in the face of moving beyond the depression for me, was finding a life purpose for me that resonated. And it took a lot of courage actually to take it on, because the vision for that for me was so beyond anything that I imagined myself capable of. And yet I'm engaged in it, and I'm enlivened by it and enriched by it, and it has given me my life. So making that choice that confronts you with such, well, all your stuff comes up in the face of making the choice to take on your life's purpose. Uh, it takes courage, but the choice gives you life, gives you vitality, gives you resilience, gives you a sense of purpose, which is the one thing that I had been feeling a desperate lack of for most of my life. And finding something that I could give myself meaning with, finding something that resonated with my heart and soul was life altering. And that the courage that it takes to receive that and accept it returns a millionfold to you. So courage, I believe, as I said in the beginning, is an expansion of the heart. It is based in a trust and a faith in something bigger than the fear. And so we get to, in the face of fear, we still get to choose. And choosing the path that is in greatest alignment with us is the path that we get to embrace. And I'm going to look over here at some comments here. Natalie says it's night in Perth. Well, Natalie, thank you. Good evening to you, or good night to you. I'm so glad you're here. And Dido says, I remember someone who was so depressed for so long, and his son was ashamed of him, but he had enormous courage to even get through the day at that time. And it's true. It takes, in the face of depression, people that don't experience depression really don't understand how consuming and debilitating it is. And it does take courage just to put one foot in front of the other, just to go from one day to the next. And Dido says, I love the way you can see darkness and depression as a quest for light, as part of a spiritual journey, a type of heroic quest. Dido, that's such a good point. It really is a hero's journey. And Natalie says, I've been depressed from my mom and dad passing away. And Natalie, I can so understand that, because the people that we love are they're beacons for us. They are a way that we stay focused and clear, and they are a way that we know ourselves. We often know ourselves through others. And when we lose someone so dear, it can be such a deep and consuming, overwhelming disruption and upset, and the loss just feels like such a hollow emptiness in our hearts that feel like they're breaking. But to what Dido said, is that the moving through this darkness, there is light. There is light to be found. And it is a spiritual quest. It is a heroic journey. And moving through that sadness, Natalie, experiencing the sadness when you feel it, and realizing that you don't feel it in every moment, allows that feeling to move. So when you're sad, be sad. And when you're not, allow yourself to be not sad. And realize that you're being sad all the time is not what your mom and dad would want for you. And that you get to be here and live a life that they would be happy for you to be living. And so when those moments of sorrow come, allow yourself to feel it. And as you feel it, what will happen when you truly don't resist it and you truly allow yourself the experience of the sadness when you have it, is that in experiencing it, it will lift and it will pass. And then it won't be there for a while. And when it returns, feel it again and allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself, when it's not there, to to experience the joy and the love that you have for your folks. And so many of us have the misimpression that if we lose the sadness over the passing of people we love, or animal friends that we love, or stages of life that we've loved, if we if we forget the sadness, then we forget those people, or those friends, furry friends. And the truth is, we don't forget them. We just can access the joyful love more readily. And so know that you don't have to keep the sadness in order to keep the closeness and the love for your mom and dad. And again, it takes courage, Natalie. And it takes courage to feel your feelings when your feelings are that intense, because the fear is that you might fall prey to them, that you might fall so deep and get so dark that you'll never get out. But it's counterintuitive, but it's the opposite. It's when you truly allow the depth of those feelings without the stories, without running the stories, but feeling those feelings in your body and allowing yourself the deep tears that may arise. When you allow that, even though you're afraid that you may never stop, you will. And it will pass. And then there's more freedom. And then there's more presence and more ability to really experience the love instead of the sorrow. So, Natalie, I hope that's helpful to you. And I am so sorry for your loss. And I know the grieving process is different for all of us in terms of its duration and the way it shows up. I mean, I know people who have had losses and they never grieved, and then years later are overcome with this deep sense of prolonged and seemingly unending grief. And I that's why it's so important to experience your feelings when they arise, and to not suppress them and repress them, but to allow what's there when it's there, and allow it to not be there when it isn't. And just sort of honor yourself for your courage as you move through this passage in your life, because there is an opening, there is light, and it takes going through the darkness to find that light so often. And the truth is that going through that darkness allows the light to be that much brighter. So that's courage. And I just want to say thank you again for being with me. And I'm here on Enlightened World Network at 9 a.m. Eastern Time every weekday morning. And I so appreciate you and your engagement. And I have so much love and compassion for you and gratitude. And please check out the other programming on Enlightened World Network. It's wonderfully uplifting and heart mending, and light bringing. So, with that, lots of love, and I hope to see you back again here soon.